Hello students, this is Prabhakar Chowti. We have been discussing about the concept of Economic Survey 2020-21. As part of the concept of 2020-21 is concerned, till now we have a very good discussion about volume number 2 and also volume number 1. So till now we have discussed about 5 volumes, that is 5 chapters of volume number 1. So in this particular class we are going to discuss about the 6th class and also called as the 6th idea of the economic survey, which goes into the philosophical aspects as well as the theoretical aspects of the Indian economy. Now as far as the Indian economy is concerned, 6th chapter says something about the process reforms enabling decision making under uncertainty. The uncertainties like the COVID-19 do occur again and again in future. Because of this reason why at any particular period, suppose there was a research and there was a crisis in 1929, there was a crisis in 1918 which was known as the Spanish influenza, and in 1929 also there was a crisis called the great world economic depression. Then again in 2008 there was something called world economic crisis. At all these particular instances, most of the governments do responded to these particular crises, even though the governments could not come and could not revive their economies at particular some range of the period of time. Because of this reason why, so the COVID-19 has resulted into unprecedented economic crisis. So if the decision making is not so well, if the decision making is not accountable, if the decision making is not transparent, then the policy formulations and the response to this particular pandemic would go into vain. Because of this reason why India has dedicated a separate chapter as well as the exclusive chapter to make the process of a particular decision making. According to the economic survey says that the regulatory problems. So as you all know that from 1991 onwards, India has liberalized its economy as far as the private institutions are concerned, as far as the global institutions are concerned, as far as the public institutions are concerned, as far as the license Raj system is concerned. Most of the regulatory frameworks have been avoided by the government of India. At this particular juncture, what economic survey says that it is not about the regulation. It is not about the regulation, but it is about the enforcement of the regulation. Enforcement of the regulation. Now see here, India has been processed from controlling the institutions to regulation of the institutions. And in the recent times, from 2020-21 is concerned, India has been moved from regulation to the facilitation of the economy. Facilitator does mean the institutions as well as the state can only arrange some possibilities of occurring a particular business, and the institution can only process some the laws as well as the regulations. But institutions do not actually regulate the economy. But India has been processed even advanced with the regulation. Even though there are some regulations which controls the economy, but what economic survey says that it is not about the regulation, but it is about the lack of proper enforcement of the regulation matters a lot. What is this lack of proper enforcement of the regulation? The lack of proper enforcement of the regulation does mean there is no transparency in implementation of that regulation. So lack of transparency in implementation of the regulation will lead to the rigidity in the economy. Because of this reason why, what economic survey says that the regulatory problems are not because of the lack of regulatory standards and for poor compliance. That means the regulatory framework is not actually in line with the enforcement directions of a particular executive. Because of this reason why, what economic survey suggests that there has to be compliance in regulatory standards and enforcement of the standards. And the second point, it says that the quality and effective effective enforcement should be implemented in the country. That means the enforcement of the regulations should be ensured with the quality enforcement, and it should be effective enforcement as far as the economic regulatory standards are concerned. This is the first thing which has been suggested by the economic survey. The second thing is, it has quoted some the ranks of the world rule of law index. So according to the world rule of law index is concerned, India stands to be 75th position in 2015. Now it is 45th position in 2020. So as far as the law enforcement is concerned, as far as the ease of doing business enforcements are concerned, what economic survey suggests that wherever India lacks, such as enforcing the contracts, such as taking the permissions to establish a particular institutions, where India needs to be improved. So this has been actually propagated by India, and economic survey also suggests that India ranks have been actually popularized and have been given in the economic survey according to the various categories it has given. Regulatory, so I will write down regulatory, enforcement, overall rank. So in 2015 it was 69. In 2020 it has increased to 74. So this is the rank of India as far as the regulatory enforcement overall rank is concerned. Now the second one is government regulations are effectively enforced was ranked 87 in 2015 and increased to 104 in 2020. Then government regulations are applied and enforced without improper influence. So it was ranked as 74 in 2015 and 107 in 2020. Then administrative proceedings are conducted. Administrative proceedings are conducted without reasonable delay. Has been ranked with 75 and has got increased to 89. Then last one, due process is respected, as ranked as 72 and 45. So number of countries are 102, then 128. So these are the ranks which have been actually got by the regulatory enforcement. Overall rank was 69, then increased to 74. Then government regulations are effectively enforced was 87, then increased to 104. Then government rules are applied and enforced without any improper influence was got 74, then increased to 107. Then administrative proceedings are conducted without reasonable delay was 75, then has got increased to 89. Then due process in respecting the administrative proceedings was 72, then decreased to 45. In 2015 they have taken 102 countries, then in 2020 they have taken 128 countries. So as far as all these ranks are concerned, what India says that the overall regulation of the India is said to be ineffective. The overall regulation of the India is said to be inactive. The overall regulation of the India is said to be non-transparent. Because of all these reasons why the process reforms are not so effective as far as the Indian economy is concerned. That is the reason why what economic survey suggests that attempt to reduce discretion by having ever more complex regulations. See, so as far as the discretion of the government is concerned, it can be reduced by having the less regulations. That is, instead of having more complex regulations, so a country can have the simple regulations to ensure the effectiveness in the enforcement of the laws. Then what economic survey suggests that simplifying regulations and investing in greater supervision. So the complex regulation process should be simplified enough, and it should be made very simple even to be understood by the layman language. Now the discretion needs to be blurred with the transparency in decision making process. That means the discretion of a particular regulation. Suppose if somebody wants to give a particular authenticity, or if any particular person wants to sign on any particular paper, then that particular officer will be having a discretion. So will this particular discretion normally leads to the corruption? So instead of making this to happen, what economic survey suggests that discretion needs to be balanced with the transparency. That means any particular decision which has been taken with the discretion should be equipped with the transparency. That means on what basis a particular decision has been taken, on what grounds a particular signature has been made, and on what grounds a particular permission has been granted. All these things must be stated transparently. Then only even the complex decision making of a particular economy can also be normalized. Because of this reason why what economic survey suggests that economic survey suggests four things. One is Indian economy does not have over regulation. This is the first thing which has been stated by the economic survey. Second thing, Indian economy says that Indian standard of regulations are very much effective, but due to the lack of effective enforcement and due to the lack of transparency in the enforcement has made the regulatory framework as ineffective. This is the second thing which has been stated by the economic survey. And the third thing, Indian economy and Indian regulations have to be improved wherever it has got down. Then the last final what it has been said that the discretionary power of any particular decision making should be balanced with the transparency. Then only the effective and the transparent implementation of the regulatory process would occur in a particular economy. Okay, so these are the things, these are the ideas which have been prescribed in the chapter number 6 of the volume number 1 of Economic Survey 2020-21. Thank you all for watching.